You know, it's funny, isn't it? We often think about cleaning as like just another chore on that never-ending to-do list.
Right.
But this whole idea from the Sparkling Life podcast, that a cleaner home could actually lead to, get this, a clearer mind. It really makes you think. I mean, at first, I have to admit, I was a little skeptical.
Yeah, it sounds a bit out there, right?
Totally. Like, does organizing my sock drawer really equal inner peace?
Right.
But I'm ready to dive in. What were the juicy bits of this episode that stood out to you?
Okay, so what I found really fascinating is that they don't just stop at the surface level. Like, they go beyond just clean your house, feel better. They actually dig into the science behind why clutter can feel so darn overwhelming.
Okay, now we're talking. I love that kind of stuff. Give me the deets.
So they talked about this study. It was from like the Princeton Neuroscience Institute.
Oh, wow. Princeton. Okay. They've got my attention.
Yeah, and it basically found that when people were in these cluttered environments, their brains just couldn't focus as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, their performance on tasks that needed focus actually decreased. Like their brains were working overtime, just trying to process all that visual noise.
That makes so much sense.
Hmm.
It's like our brains can only handle so much input at once. And if it's being bombarded with visual clutter,
Totally.
then there's less brain power available for, well, for actually getting things done.
Mm.
And, speaking of feeling overwhelmed by stuff, the podcast mentioned a listener. I think her name was Jennifer from Austin.
Yes, Jennifer, right. She was really struggling with that feeling of
I
overwhelm.
think it was just too much.
Totally. She was saying how she felt like her apartment was just this like big overwhelming item on her to-do list. It wasn't a sanctuary at all.
I've been there.
So what did she do? So she decided to try incorporating just 10 minutes of tidying into her morning routine.
Just 10 minutes.
Yeah, and she was saying how much of a difference it made. Like, she actually started looking forward to coming home.
Wow, that's amazing. Just 10 minutes. See, this is why I love these deep dives. I mean, who knew that such a small change could have such a big impact?
Right, and that's what they emphasized in the Sparkling Life. It's not about these huge cleaning marathons. It's consistency. Those little habits that you do regularly. Like, they suggested this super simple morning routine.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So while your coffee's brewing, make the bed. Then while you're in the kitchen anyway, just do a quick wipe down at the counters.
It's so simple.
Right. 5 minutes tops, but it sets the tone for the day.
Love it. I'm all about those small but mighty changes, turning everyday things into these little mindful moments instead of letting chores loom over my head.
It's like that 5-minute rule, they talked about that.
Oh, tell me about it. I need all the time-saving tricks I can get.
It's so simple. If something takes less than 5 minutes, just do it right then. Don't even give yourself a chance to overthink it.
Oh, I love that. It's so true, though, right? How much time do we waste just, like, staring at that pile of laundry or whatever?
Right. Just thinking about having to do it takes longer than actually doing it.
It totally does. Oh, it reminds me of, what's that psychology thing, the Zeigarnik effect? Where it's like those unfinished tasks just keep taking up space in your brain.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like they're just like mentally cluttering up your brain.
Exactly. And speaking of mental clutter, the podcast made this, like, link between physical clutter and mental clutter,
Mm.
which, I mean, makes total sense, right?
It does. Like if your surroundings feel chaotic, your mind kind of feels chaotic too.
Right. It's like when my desk is covered in papers and random
Mhm.
stuff, my thoughts feel just as scattered.
100%. So the Sparkling Life, they had some really cool strategies for dealing with all that. Like they talked about decluttering, which can be kind of a buzzword, but
Yeah, but it's popular for a reason. Did they mention any specific methods?
they did. They did. They talked about the KonMari method, which you might have heard of.
Oh, yeah. Marie Kondo, the queen of sparking joy.
Mhm.
I've definitely tried that one.
It's really popular. And basically, it's like you only keep the things that spark joy in your life. If it doesn't bring you joy, it's got to go.
I'm all for getting rid of anything that doesn't spark joy.
Mm.
Less stuff, less to clean, right?
Yeah.
Did they talk about any other methods?
Yeah, they mentioned this other rule, the one in, one out rule.
Okay, I like the sound of this. Tell me more.
So pretty simple. Every time you bring something new into your house, something old has got to go.
Oh, that's smart. Like a constant balancing act to keep the clutter at bay.
Exactly. It helps you be mindful about what you're bringing into your space and letting go of what you no longer use or need. Because it's so easy for that clutter to creep up.
Oh, tell me about it. It's like you work so hard to declutter and then, bam, a few months later, you're back where you started. So I appreciate how the Sparkling Life isn't about these big, crazy overhauls. It's about small, manageable changes. In fact, didn't they have a challenge like midway through the episode?
Oh, yeah, yeah. The 5-minute tidy up challenge.
Right. I love that. Don't worry, listener. I'm not going to make you pause this deep dive to go clean something.
Right. No pressure.
But I love that they did that, just challenge people to take 5 minutes and tidy up. It's like a little mini transformation to prove to yourself how much you can get done, even if you only have a few minutes.
Exactly. And speaking of those small actions, big impact moments, they told that story about, was it Amanda? The mom of 3?
Oh, yeah. With the 2 dogs.
Yes, with the dogs, right. I was just thinking about that story. It's amazing what a difference a little routine can make, right?
Totally. I think a lot of us get stuck in that cycle of like the weekend cleaning marathon, which honestly, who wants to spend their weekends cleaning?
Ugh, no way. Weekends are for relaxing, not scrubbing toilets.
Exactly. But Amanda, she decided to try this thing where every night the whole family does a 10-minute cleanup.
Oh, that's smart.
They set a timer, everyone picks a spot, and just go.
That is brilliant. I bet that makes such a difference. It's not this huge chore anymore.
Exactly. And she's saying it turned into this fun thing they do together. So it's not just about having a cleaner house. It's about like connecting as a family too.
Oh, I love that. Win-win. And then I really love the listener Q&A part. It's always interesting to hear other people's cleaning conundrums.
Totally. So what were some of the questions they tackled?
Well, they had this one guy, Adam, from Portland, who was saying how he struggles to keep his place tidy because he works a full-time job.
Oh, Adam, you are preaching to the choir. We've all been there, right?
Right. I mean, life gets busy. What did they recommend for him? So for those of us, like Adam, who are totally time-crunched but still crave that zen-like feeling of a clean space, what did the Sparkling Life have to say?
Well, they emphasize that it's not about those marathon cleaning sessions. Like you don't have to block out your whole weekend to get on top of it.
Right, right.
It's about micro tasks and consistency. So like instead of thinking, ugh, I have to clean the entire kitchen, break it down, maybe one day it's like just wipe down the counters.
Okay, I can do that. And then the next day, it's just loading the dishwasher. Small, manageable steps.
Small steps, big impact, right?
Yeah.
It's all about fitting those little acts of tidying into like the natural flow of your day.
Totally. Exactly.
Kind of like how you were saying, just do a quick counter wipe while you're waiting for your coffee. It's not a chore then. It's just like a mindful part of your routine.
Yes. 100%. And they also answered a question. It was from Kayla in Toronto.
Okay.
And she was like, I think a lot of us can relate to this, but she was saying her downfall is countertop clutter.
Oh, Kayla, you and me both. It's like a magnet for everything. Mail, keys,
Yeah.
my kid's backpack, you name it, it all ends up there. So what was their wisdom for taming that countertop beast?
Okay, so they had this idea, drop zones.
Drop zones. Okay, I'm intrigued.
So basically you designate a spot for all that stuff. Like you put a tray by the door, right, for your keys and your mail.
Okay.
Or have a specific place where your work bag always goes.
That's so simple, but so smart.
Right. It's about creating like these little pockets of order. So those random things, they have a home and they don't end up just like sprawled all over your counters.
Love it. Create a home for the clutter so it doesn't take over your house.
Ah,
Okay, so as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into the sparkling life,
yeah.
what's like the main takeaway you'd want to leave with our listener? The one who was initially drawn to this idea of a connection between cleaning and a clearer mind.
That's a good question. I think it's easy to dismiss cleaning. Like it's just another thing on our to-do list.
Right. It doesn't always feel very glamorous.
No, not at all. But I think what's cool about this whole concept is that it's really about like creating an environment that supports you, supports your well-being. It's not about like having a picture-perfect, Instagram-worthy home.
Right, because nobody actually lives like that anyway.
Exactly. It's about realizing those small actions can make a difference. Like even just taking 5 minutes to tidy up or creating a drop zone. Like it can have a ripple effect on your mood and your focus, even your sense of peace.
Yes. It's like that feeling you get when you walk into a tidy room. There's a sense of calm, like you can actually exhale. If incorporating some of these little things can recreate that feeling for our listener, I think we've done our job.
I agree. I agree. And it's all about finding what works for you, like your personality and your lifestyle. There's no right or wrong way to do it.
So to our listener, as you go about your day, we'll leave you with this. Just take a moment, look around your space. What's one small action you can take today to create a little more peace in your environment and by extension, in your mind?